credit cards can ruin your life. Like, I promise you, if you're not disciplined with them, you will be paying for it. And I want to emphasize that message. This is not financial advice. All right, so it's been some years since I talked about building your credit with sneakers, and I just feel like I've learned a lot, bro. I'm 28 now. I've honestly been, I think the last like buying sneakers with credit cards video I made was like 6 years ago, so it's been a minute. I've learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes, and I just feel like it's something that's super important to talk about. You know, whether you're 28 as well, you're 30, 40, you still don't have a credit card, or you're younger, and this is just stuff that they honestly don't teach in school. And one thing that I wish that they would have taught me, and I was lucky enough to have a mom who was like, oh, you should open up a credit card as soon as you were like 18. And it was a Macy's credit card. And it helped me establish my credit. So when I did need to make bigger purchases or finance specific things, it helped me throughout my entire career. And that's kind of what I want to get at. So if you don't know, there's a lot of people out there that are going to tell you credit cards are not king. Cash is king. And while cash is very important, it is vital, right? Credit builds leverage. Credit can open so many doors for you, but it can also ruin your life. I'm just going to be the first to tell you guys, first and foremost, this entire video is not financial advice. Like I said in the beginning, it's just a little guidance, and you could take bits and pieces from what I say and maybe apply it to your life. So first and foremost, credit rules the world, and I should say America specifically. I genuinely don't even think they have credit in other countries. But in terms of being here in America, credit gets you any and everything you could potentially want, in a good way and in a bad way. Everyone wants a car. Yes, you can buy it in cash, but not many people have 50,000 just ready to go. If you do, more power to you. You know, there's a lot of millionaires who have terrible credit, and the reason being they just never cared about it because they were too focused on grinding and paying cash. And that's fine and all, but when it comes to financing a car, when it comes to financing a home for your family, they're going to run your credit. They're going to make sure you have a good job. And it's a whole process, man. And that's kind of why I'm making this video in the first place. I want you guys to be able to purchase your favorite things, the things that you're passionate about. And we're breaking this on the surface level of just sneakers. I think it's extremely important to use a credit card for pretty much everything you do, because essentially it's free money for the most part. Pay attention to what I'm saying here. I personally do not carry a debit card anywhere, solely based on the fact that if you get robbed, someone can just full-blown drain your entire bank account. And the process it takes to get that money back is not easy by any means. Versus if someone steals a credit card, worst thing they could do is run up your balance. You can call them and be like, hey, someone stole my credit card. This is not me. They'll shut it down and you will be taken care of. That right there is just the number one reason to have a credit card in general. It's literally for your own safety. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but trust me. Now, I get for some people, you're like, oh, well, what if I need to get cash? I personally don't ever carry cash. If that is the case, you know, then you will have to have your debit card go to the bank. But, you know, you can really structure when you actually need cash. Now, let's get into this whole ordeal of, you know, how I've built my credit through this niche, you know, this sneaker streetwear niche that I'm so passionate about. And it even helping me, you know, build this room, essentially, all these shoes and amazing equipment, camera equipment. Some of these pieces I could have just bought in cash, but instead I financed them for 0%. And we'll get into that. So let's start from the beginning, right? So every release you decide to pick up, any clothes you decide to pick up, if you go get groceries, I personally highly recommend getting a credit card. One, because they typically give you a percentage back depending on where you're spending. For example, Discover, they'll do like 5% cash back for going to Target and buying groceries. It's money that you're already spending on your debit card. You might as well just spend it on a credit card and get 5% back. Now, that might only be a few pennies here and there or 50 cents, but that's more money than you had yesterday. And that's really how you got to look at things. And this might make a lot of people sick. This entire book right here is full of credit cards. I don't want to get my information stolen, but American Express is definitely one of my top favorite cards, and we'll get into those. Don't get an American Express if you don't travel a lot. It's not worth it. So yeah, diving into my story. I've had good times with credit cards and I've had terrible times with credit cards. I've taken out stupid loans. I've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars of interest, because truly with credit cards, man, it is all about discipline. It's so easy to get carried away with money that isn't yours, because you always think, oh, you know, I'll get paid this week. Like, I don't even worry about it. And then $3,000 on that card, you pay the minimum, boom, you get hit with interest. This is the thing you guys need to highly consider before getting a credit card. Like I'm telling you, credit cards can ruin your life. Like, I promise you, if you're not disciplined with them, you will be paying for it. And I want to emphasize that message because it's really not all sunshine and rainbows. It's human nature to overspend, to live beyond your means, and credit cards are the fastest way to do that. To the point where you could be making 6 figures a year, but you're in so much debt that realistically, someone who's broke and doesn't have any credit is way better off than you are. It can get ugly really fast. So I want you guys to go real slow with this process. If you decide to jump in, these credit card companies are giving out these special 0% or all these different points, free travel, all these different perks. But in reality, these perks are coming from the thousands of other people who racked up thousands of dollars and are paying interest every month. Those people are who are essentially really providing the benefits to you. And this has happened to me countless times. I've had everything paid off. I've racked it up to sick amounts where I can't sleep at night, paid it off, racked it back up, man. It's just a sick process. And you really live and learn with it. But at the end of the day, just like everything else, it comes down to discipline. Now let's go into this just being simple, right? You apply for a credit card. If you're brand new to this, realistically, you might not get approved. You might get approved for $500. You might get approved for $2,500. And what you're going to want to do with that credit card is, buy some shoes that you want, but only buy those shoes if you have the money to pay for them. Don't just buy these thinking, oh yeah, I'll pay them off in like 2 months or 3 months. I don't mind paying. You're financing shoes. Don't do it. Trust me. Don't do it. Only put on your credit card what you were going to buy anyway, whether it's paying your internet bill or your cell phone bill. You're going to pay it anyway out of your bank account. So why not just pay it with a credit card? A lot of these companies offer that now. Sometimes these phone companies even have their own versions of credit cards. I got the Verizon card. It gives me 10% off my bill and I set everything on auto pay. That's step number 1. Get that credit card. As soon as that credit card lands in your hands, log in, add your bank information, and make sure you put on automatic payment, pay balance in full every single month. Now, all those purchases you make through the week or the month, the new strategy that I've tried to implement, I heard it by 50 Cent, is like pay your debts by Monday. So throughout the week, whatever I charge on my credit card, I make sure it's paid on Monday. That way I don't fall back into this sickly pattern of paying thousands of dollars in interest because it gets ugly, guys. Now, slowly but surely, when you start paying that credit card each month in full, anywhere from like 3 to 6 months, they're going to give you a credit increase. Now your $500 could go to $2,500, and then your $2,500 can go to $5,000, or it can go from $5,000 to $10,000. And essentially, that's literally how you guys build credit. All credit is to these bureaus is a level of just showing that you're reliable, you're dependable, you pay on time, and they can trust you when it comes to lending out bigger and bigger amounts. You shouldn't have any collections. You shouldn't have any late payments. And it's really that simple. Once you get comfortable with that credit card, you can open another credit card and do the same process. I have a full book of credit cards. Realistically, you only need 3. I had so many different businesses and I'm different, man. My goal, I think right now I have like $150,000 in like a credit limit. I don't want to get too like deep into it, but I have $150,000 credit limit. So I have that much in credit cards, right? So if I spend $1,000 and it reports that month, I've spent $1,000 out of my $150,000. And that's what's called credit utilization. So when it reports to the bureaus, it would be under 1%. It gets a little more complex. And if you guys like this video, we can get more in depth of like how to build up to that. But I just kind of wanted to make this as simple as possible and give you guys some steps that you can apply today and like slowly build your credit. Just because, man, most people can't spend $700,000 to buy a house. At least here in Denver, that's how much it costs. Now, if you live in South Dakota and you could buy a $20,000 house cash, more power to you, man. That's amazing. You're on your way to literal financial freedom. At the end of the day, I feel like that's where we're all trying to get to. I've made my mistakes. I still do have debt. I still do make poor choices, even though I know what the right decision is. It's really just human nature. It's a live and learn. I bought my Tesla. I have still student loans. I know it's going to be a constant cycle for me, but I just wanted to express like the do's and don'ts of building credit and really just provide power to you guys as individuals, man. It's just one thing that I feel like we're just not taught, or maybe we are taught and it's just not told in simple enough terms or things, when things aren't relatable, you don't really care to listen. So I just hope that some of the experiences that I went through, you guys can trust and listen to, what I'm trying to teach you. Oh, real quick, I wanted to get into my favorite like beginner cards that I think everyone should have. So first one being the Discover It. I'll put links down below of these cards for you guys, and they are affiliated. So I get some type of money if you sign up. So that's fire. So the Discover It card was my first card in college. This is a really good card solely just based on the fact that they have so many different opportunities for cash back. They do balance transfers 0% for like 12 months, which can help you in so many different ways. I feel like I'm going to end every like benefit with it can ruin your life, because I just want you guys to be aware. If you're not responsible with these cards, man, you will pay for it. But Discover It, very good card. I've had this one for years. I think this is just like a great starter for anyone trying to build credit. The next one I'll put on there is the Chase Freedom Unlimited. I can't really show you guys because you'll see my card number, but that's pretty much a daily cash back. Amazing card for your day-to-day expenses. One of my most favorite credit cards as of late is this Built credit card. This is from Wells Fargo. Some people don't like Wells Fargo, but this is the first credit card to allow you to pay your rent on it. First of its kind. This card is really solid. Just based on the fact that you're paying rent anyway, why not build your credit as well as get all those travel points, spending thousands of dollars on rent? You have to be so responsible with this card, because if you slip, man, you're going to pay a lot of interest. And then for people who have a business, man, I would pick up an American Express Platinum card. Now, it is a charge card. You do have to 1000% pay it every single month. American Express comes with so many benefits, and it's really only good if you're spending a lot of money and you're traveling a lot, but there's so many perks for it. I'm not trying to sell you guys on any of these cards. I've had them for years, like 2015 and beyond, but if you do want to sign up for any of them, like I said, I'll put links down below. Look into them, do your own research. But yeah, I mean, that's basically it. The only other thing that I really wanted to get into was like the older method that I used to do, and it's a little harder now because resale isn't necessarily there. But when I was younger, initially like really building my credit limits and credit, what I would do, I was obviously reselling shoes, so I would buy all the pairs on my credit card, and typically these would be 0% credit cards. So what 0% means is you don't pay any interest for a certain amount of months. So typically when you first open your account, a lot of these credit cards offer 0% for 12 months versus like the 25% interest, which is insane. So with that 12 months, I would put all my sneakers on these credit cards. I would sell them, pay off the credit cards in full, and then just keep the profits. And I just constantly would cycle doing that over and over until some of my limits were just insane. Even with camera equipment, being a YouTuber, you know, this camera, my whole camera setup is probably like $15,000. And again, I charged all that on a credit card. I think I had like 24 months to pay it off. I already had the money to just buy it, so I wasn't really worried, but I just made like the minimum payments every month. So 15,000 divided by 24. So I was paying around like $625 a month for all my camera equipment until it was paid off, and I didn't pay any interest. Now, the problem with this is if you don't pay it off in the 12 or the 24 months, you will get destroyed with interest. So I highly recommend only doing this if you have the money set aside and you know if the worst came to worst, you could just pay it off and keep it pushing. Discipline, discipline, discipline with these credit cards, guys. If you have any questions or you want me to elaborate more on this topic, we can do another episode on it. Just wanted to kind of put this out there because credit is tightening up, and you know, with how our economy is looking, I just feel like true power for all of us is to have amazing credit scores and just all be financially literate and just responsible. As hard as it is, I just wanted to put this in the back of your mind. So this is your boy Mike, man. Appreciate you guys for listening to another episode. If you guys have any recommendations for the next podcast and what you want to hear, let me know down below, but I'll catch you on the next one.